ready to take your feminine dominance skills to the next level? Do you want to learn to dominate safely, creatively, and confidently? Are you looking for information on how to encourage growth, learning, and discipline? Or maybe you want to learn how to really submit in a woman-led dynamic. You're wondering how to find the right dominant partner for you. How can you learn and train to please her the best way possible? In this live, I'll speak from my perspective as a woman leading my relationship for nearly a decade, as a woman living a life beyond what I'd ever dreamed, with a partner I can barely believe is real. I'm glad you're visiting my world. Welcome to FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge, presented by Dating Kinky and Curiouser.life. Good morning and happy International Women's Day. I am so excited to be presenting today on International Women's Day and speaking about FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge. It was 2 years ago today that Dating Kinky ran our first weekend event focusing on International Women's Day. It was called Happy International Kinky Women's Day, where we celebrated the women in kink and the kink in women. So it's kind of exciting for me for this to be coming sort of full circle into me starting to do a lot more lives like this one, talking about FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge, other kinky topics, and of course, the entire gamut of love, sex, romance, and life. So for those of you who don't know me, hello. I'm Heather, also known as Nookie. I'm a hedonistic, dominant, cuckoldress pimptress who is polyamorous and mono-romantic. I do live a woman in charge lifestyle with my partner of nearly 10 years. It's full of love, sex, passion, and exploration. I write books, I teach workshops, and I offer coaching for better love, sex, romance, and kink for people of all genders, relationship statuses, orientations, and more. Submissives, talking to you. It's hard to find the dominant woman of your dreams, isn't it? I know it is. And I'll tell you a secret. If you ask a single dominant woman, there's a 90% or better chance that she'll say it's as hard or harder to find the submissive of her dreams. So what's up with that? I mean, we have these people wanting to find this person and this person wanting to find one or several of these people. Shouldn't be that difficult, right? Well, it is. And the topic of this live is one of those things. It's about service and how it's interpreted differently by different people, and how the hopeful right side of the slash often gets it so very wrong when approaching a new woman in charge dynamic. So, hello to those of you who are here. Please go ahead, say good morning in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from if you have the opportunity. And don't forget to comment or ask questions in the chat. I love engaging with people, which is one of the reasons I do these lives. And I do keep an eye on the scroll at all times. So if we're going to talk about service from a BDSM perspective, let's take some time to define what service actually is. Service, noun, the action of helping or doing work for someone. Verb, perform routine maintenance or repair work on a vehicle or machine, or of a male animal, mate with a female animal. Depending on which of those definitions you use, you will mean very different things when speaking, and you'll hear very different things when listening, right? Hello, Pink Nemesis. Good to see you. Anna from Baltimore. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining me. So, those are the vanilla or mundane definitions of service. Let's talk kink more specifically. So, service, any act performed by the submissive for the dominant partner that they find important to have fulfilled and have given the submissive that honor to perform. Now, is that an official definition? No. There is no universally agreed upon kinctionary. It just doesn't exist, right? Might you disagree with my definition? Absolutely. And if you do disagree with it, again, don't hesitate to pop that into the comments. But let's break down what I'm trying to say here and what I'm trying to get across about service with that definition. So, starting with any act performed by the submissive for the dominant partner. If we can all agree on this, we've got a good start. If you do something for me, either at my request or on your own, that's an act of service, right? So what types of service are possible? Well, any. Here's a short list. Personal assistant, secretary, domestic or maid, chauffeur, escort, bootblack, massage therapist, groom or personal care attendant, landscaping or lawn care, co-top during scenes with others, nurse, computer technician. Anything I'm missing? Of course there is. Service comes in a myriad of forms. If you're a submissive, and you've already guessed the one I'm about to say next, though, if you were just waiting for me to say it and you felt a bit of tension when it was not said, you're probably one of the submissives who most need to be paying close attention. Sexual service. There, I said it. We'll come back to this. Absolutely, because it needs to be spoken about. Hello, Sabyasachi. Always a pleasure to see you. And real quick, just a request, please don't forget to like this video and share it wherever you find me. It is a huge help for me to have people recommend me to their friends and groups or pages online. Thanks so much. So the next part of that definition is that they find important to have fulfilled. Now we're getting from the first part, which I'm pretty sure everyone can agree with, to the second part that really begins separating the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. Let me say that again. That they find important to have fulfilled. Let me be clear, crystal clear. It's not a service if they don't want it. It's self-indulgence. It's useless. It's presumptuous. It's rude. In some cases, it's even a consent violation. Think on that for a minute. You ever heard of squeegee guys? If you're not a New Yorker, then probably not. Squeegee guys are panhandling window washers that approach vehicles stopped at red lights. They suds up their windshields without warning and then aggressively demand money for their shoddy, unsolicited services. Now, right now, I know that there are some dominant women out there nodding. And I'm guessing that there are a few submissives feeling a bit sheepish right now. Those who are self-aware enough to recognize where I'm going with this and to know that they have been the power exchange equivalent of a squeegee guy, regardless of gender. Yeah? Yeah. Patricia says, oh, yes. That sort of thing is so frustrating and annoying that ex-mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, targeted squeegee guys with his quality of life crackdown in the 1990s, making it a crime, an assault to do that. Think about that. An assault. To have your windows washed for pay. Yep. 100%. But they pay to get their windows washed sometimes, don't they? That must mean they like it. Well, yes, they do. They like having clean windshields. When they choose who does it, when they choose when it happens, when they consent, they want it when they want it. They don't want it when they don't want it. And they want it with the people or car washes they choose to perform the service. Which leads me into the last bit. And have given the submissive that honor to perform. But real quick, before I go into that, if you are interested in learning more about how to create the FLR, FemDom, or woman in charge life of your dreams from either side of the slash, did you know that I've recently started offering coaching? Yeah. If you would like to spend some one-on-one time with me, supercharging your relationships with a custom plan based on your personal needs as a dominant, a submissive, or a switch, then visit me at Coach Nookie at curiouser.life. Of course, you are always welcome to join me for these free live events or to join one of my membership options or workshops. It's just that some of you want more one-on-one interaction and feel like you'll thrive with personal accountability. And because you asked for it, I'm offering it. So now let's get back to what many wannabe submissives get wrong about service. So where were we? Oh, yeah. And have given the submissive that honor to perform. So there are two parts of this that I think are key to focus in on. And have given the submissive, that specific submissive, that one human, that choice, not any submissive, not any human, that one. Now, that's not to say that she couldn't give that same task to multiple submissives. She could. Of course she could, and it would still apply. Those exact submissives, those precise humans, not others. And again, I'm pretty sure there are some dominant women out there going, I'm picking up what you're putting down, okay? Yes, that. And there are some submissives out there going, ooh, hmm, hmm. Think about your friends or your partners or your lovers or people you know. There are almost certainly people you might allow to call you by a certain nickname. And others you would feel mighty uncomfortable with if they used it. For example, my pet, my partner, my lover, my submissive, my slut, calls me my queen, calls me Heather, calls me Nookie, calls me lover, calls me sweet tits, calls me bitch tits, calls me the love of his life, calls me his soulmate. That kind of stuff would sound kind of weird coming from somebody I just met at a Starbucks, wouldn't it? I mean, except maybe Heather if I introduce myself, or Nookie if I introduce myself. How we interact with each other and specific consent and permissions is so important that when people write to me, giving me titles or honorifics or names that I feel they don't have a right to use, I actually have a macro that will specifically redirect them in what I think is a positive way. And it goes like this. Please don't call me fill in the blanks or whatever they sent, mistress or goddess. Please don't call me goddess. I don't own you, so I prefer not to be titled by you. Please call me Nookie or Miss Nookie if you must use an honorific. Thank you. You see? Your mother calling you a diminutive of your name is fine, even natural perhaps. Your daughter or your lover or a competitor at work? Maybe not so much. Good morning, Giggles Through Pain. I hope you are having a great day as well. Happy International Women's Day. And then there's the last bit. The honor to perform. This is maybe getting a bit meta. But if you're a submissive or a switch in the submissive role, if it doesn't feel to you like an honor to perform, is it really a service? That will, at least in my view, be entirely dependent on your perspective. I can say that to me, if someone does something for me and I don't feel like they were honored to do it, I won't ask them or invite them to do it again. Good morning, Giovanni. Happy International Women's Day. Lovely to see you again. I won't ask them or invite them to do it again because that's not service. It's a chore, a hardship, force, maybe even. And that is a deal breaker for me and many dominant women. We don't do force. We don't do chores in that sense. We don't do hardships. Now, let me be clear. You can whine and complain and hate doing the dishes. I'm perfectly okay with that. You can still, though, be honored to do them for me as a part of our dynamic. That you get to serve in that way. That you do that in honor of what we have and who we are together. And because it's part of making that all work for both of us. Are you with me so far? Because before I move on, I'd like to tell you a bit about our Plus membership. You can find it at getplus, getplus.datingkinky.com. Because if you're loving this content and you want more education on love, sex, romance, kink, and of course, FLR, FemDom, and women in charge dynamics, there's no better offer than our Plus membership. Join Plus and you'll get access to my books, FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge, and Because I Said So, a collection of sexy, thoughtful, and loving women in charge writings, parts 1 and 2. You'll get over 40 hours of amazing women in charge presentations taught by confident, dominant women from around the world, like financial freedom to ultimate sexual freedom, a discussion of woman-centric non-monogamy, practical chastity for people with penises, creating contracts for MS or DS relationships, red flag submissives, and more. For only $9.99 a month, $49.99 for 6 months, or $74.99 for a year, you'll get access to all of that and over 300 hours of additional content on power exchange, relationships, communication, rope, navigating the kink scene, mental health and kink, and so much more. And if you're not yet ready, although you really don't want to miss this, I promise you, don't forget to like, love, or subscribe to this channel wherever you're finding me so you don't miss a single live. And feel free and welcome to always join me for these lives. I'll put these lives up. I'll do them in collaboration with you. They'll stay up for 7 to 10 days on the public channel, and then they will come down, and this particular series will go directly into our FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge community. Plus membership. Petra, that is a lesson I learned a long time ago. Excellent. Patricia says, yes, that's perfect. Wonderful. Now, imagine this. You're sitting on a couch with a friend chatting at a kinky event. Maybe you're holding a tea. Fun, sexy, and silly things are happening all around you wherever you look. And then suddenly you feel your foot being grabbed, your heel slipped off, and hands slathering lotion on you. You're shocked and you freeze. This is totally unexpected. And then you realize that someone you don't even know, beyond a brief introduction earlier in the evening, is kneeling in front of you on a pillow, massaging your foot and kissing your toes. This happened to me in 1992 at a kinky club in New York City. I was 19 and I had no idea how to handle that. I felt violated. Fact is, I don't let anyone touch my feet that I don't know, except a professional like a massage therapist, a doctor, nail technician. To me, feet are deeply intimate. Luckily, the people who ran the vault were incredibly progressive and understood consent even back then. And the guy was thrown out on his duff and given a 6-month ban. Was that service? By my definitions, no, absolutely not. And why not? Well, it didn't meet the criteria. It was not performed for the dominant. It was not performed for me. It was performed for him and by him. I did not find it important to have that fulfilled, especially in that time and place. I had not given the submissive that honor to perform. It failed all 3 of the tests of what is kinky service. Giggles Through Pain says, absolutely not. Sabyasachi says, that's violations, 100%. So if we pause a moment here, dominance. I'm guessing you've had something similar if you've been out in the scene done to you, maybe not so egregious, or you've had things offered to you in the form of service that were absolutely not. Submissives. Think back on services you've offered to dominant women in the past. Did those offers meet the criteria? Was it offered for the dominant based on actual knowledge of them as a human and with consideration for the depth of your existing interactions and relationship? Was it something the dominant had made clear that they found important to have fulfilled? Had they specifically spoken about it or something like it? Or did you know them well enough to step in and replace an effort on their behalf that's necessary? Like, I don't know, taking their car to get filled and detailed while they're at work. Had the dominant specifically given you the honor to perform that service or other services like it? If the answer to any of those is no, or even maybe, then you are not performing a service. Exactly, Giggles Through Pain. Violated boundaries and no consent. In addition to talking about what a service actually is, I'd like to wrap up with a thought on the point of service in a DS relationship. From my perspective, of course, Giggles Through Pain says, the reality in the FemDom relationship I was in was mowing yards and maintaining the house. There you go. Wait, what's that I didn't hear? What's that you didn't say, Giggles Through Pain? Your entire service career in the FemDom relationship you were in wasn't about giving sexual service? Huh. Huh. Right? How often, as a dominant woman, for those of you out there, are you approached by somebody you barely even know and offered some sort of sexual service? And as a submissive, how often have you offered a sexual service to a dominant who then told you very clearly that they didn't want it, or left you unread, or just stopped talking to you altogether? Because at that point, again, you have to look at the criteria. Are you offering it for the dominant? Right? Based on actual knowledge of them as a human and with consideration for the depth of your existing interactions and relationships. Because I have had people actually approach me on FetLife, for example, in the first message and say, hello, I'm a submissive and I'm really interested in a FemDom lifestyle, and I am an anal virgin and I would like to offer you the honor of taking that from me. Ooh, so honored. It was not offered for me. It was not based on actual knowledge of me as a human. And the depth of our existing interactions and relationship was nothing, right? It was not something, point number 2, that I had made clear that I found important to have fulfilled. I do not have anywhere on my profile, please, complete strangers come up and offer me your open buttocks for me to take your anal virginity. Says nothing like that in my profile. In fact, it says almost the exact opposite. And then, had I given them specifically that honor to perform the service or other services like it? No, I'd never even spoken with them. Patricia says constantly inundated by male submissives. It's presumptuous on their part. Yeah. And honestly, Patricia, your experience obviously is coming from the perspective of being inundated by male submissives. My experience is that submissives of all genders can be incredibly pushy, trying to get what they want from me as a total stranger, as a female dominant, as a woman online. Just a note on FetLife, my profile says I'm a kinkster. It doesn't even say I'm a dominant. And people still come into my inbox treating me as a mistress, goddess, dominatrix, domina, whatever, without my permission. Sabyasachi says, as someone who's done foot worship, that's not how it's done. Ding. It's not how it's done. Right? So I've given you the 3 criteria of service in a power exchange relationship, in a women in charge relationship, right? If you're a submissive and you are given the honor of performing a service, do it to the best of your ability, as quickly as possible or on time, and communicate success and or any delays or challenges. Because for me, And dominants out there who are watching this, please let me know in the chat if you agree with this. To me, oftentimes the best part of service is not having to think about the act getting done. It's knowing that it will get done. And as I wrap up, giggle through pain. Reality versus fantasy. Femdoms are not a toy to use to fulfill your fantasy unless they consent ahead of time after asking properly. 100%. Consent is key. And let me be very clear about consent, because we often talk as a dominant woman. I often talk from a dominant woman perspective. So I talk about my consent, what I want. I mean, that's the whole point, in my view, of an FLR, FemDom, or woman in charge relationship, right? I get what I want. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it is the bomb diggity. Let me be clear here. An FLR, FemDom, or woman in charge relationship is a mutually consensual collaboration. Remember when I said that if performing the service does not feel like an honor to you, then it's not a service, it's a chore, it's a hardship, it's force, right? I don't want that. That's not something I'm interested in. Sure, again, you can complain all you want about taking out the trash or about killing the cockroach, right? Here in North Carolina, I don't know about where y'all are, but here in North Carolina, we got these things. They're like this big. They're not actually cockroaches. They're like some sort of bug. We call them cockroaches because they look like cockroaches. And when I've lived alone, I kill them for myself. Just like I open jars for myself. Just like I take out my own trash. I'm a functional, capable human being. When I live with or I have a submissive around, they take care of that. They swat the bugs. They take out the trash. They do the dishes. They open the doors. Like literally the men in my closest circle, when we're all out together, walking in a group or just walking the two of us or whatever, if I come to a door or an entry before they do, I will pause. Good morning, Andrew. Lovely to see you. I will pause and look at the door. And if they don't move quickly enough, we'll start this whole ritual. I'll look at the door. I'll be like, how does this work? And that'll get their attention. I'll be like, I just don't even know how this thing opens. And they'll run to open the door and we'll all be laughing and I'll go through it and things are done and taken care of. And if, for example, every once in a while I open my own door, one of them will go, oh, it worked for you? I didn't know that was possible. Service. It's a joy, an honor for both. It is an honor to me that someone wants to provide service. It's an honor to them that I allow them to provide me service. And if it does not work that way, if both people are not in on the joke, the joy, the fun, the dynamic, then it's not working. Understand that when I talk about my consent, I am also talking about the flip side of your consent, right? A submissive may offer service. I may choose to accept service. I may request service, and they may choose to honor me by granting it. That's important. Patricia says, having my submissive anticipate my needs is wonderful. Having them do what is expected without reminders is priceless. Agree 100% with you. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. It's beautiful. And also, let me be clear, because humans are humans, right? And life gets in the way and people get stressed and things just don't feel dynamic-y sometimes. Being able to say something as simple as, hey, pet, tonight, I'd like you, to tuck me in with an orgasm. I'd really like to go to sleep after some amazing pleasure. And know that he's not only going to agree, he's going to be thrilled to turn off whatever he happens to be watching on YouTube, whether it's cycling videos or like old war machine documentaries or whatever, and come to bed with me and give me the pleasure that I desire as a service that I requested, a service I find important, and a service that I have chosen him to fulfill for me. Giggles Through Pain says, I've been there before forgetting the door. Oops, I got distracted by the shiny over in the corner. Absolutely. So pausing and going, hey, does anyone know how this thing works? Much giggles, much fun. The door gets opened and everyone is happy, right? Everyone gets to fulfill their roles within the dynamics that we have chosen to create with each other. Yeah. So thank you to all of you for joining me today. If you love this discussion, please like and share it with others that you think would enjoy it. And do consider getting Plus membership. Getplus.datingkinky.com for a lot more of these and all of these that I end up recording over the next months, years, et cetera, so that you never miss a thing. And also, of course, in Plus membership, there is a forum in which you can get in and ask questions about these lives and the previous performances that we've done and the information that we've shared, and get your questions answered. And please, wherever you're finding me, don't forget to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out on upcoming lives. Thank you, Patricia, and thank you, Sabyasachi. And I will look forward to having you in another live coming up, which, by the way, today, in about 4 hours, I'll be back right here on this channel, going through the Dating Kinky book club. Today, we are talking about core values. So I started going through and creating the Dating Kinky book club, where we're going to actually go through each chapter of my book, Dating Kinky, about, of course, guess what? Kinky dating, and digging deeper into each of those. And I'll be answering your questions. So today is going to be about who are you, your core values, and why core values are so important to the relationship that you build in kink. And then on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'll be coming back with another episode of FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge, talking about our women superior leaders. Yeah. So I'll be looking at studies and science, talking about why women are superior leaders and why they may not be. And we're going to dig down into that topic. And then at 3 p.m. on Thursday, I'll be going private with the line between need and needy for our Take No Shit workshop, which you can get takenoshit.curiouser.life as a standalone product for $47. Or you could get it as part of your Plus membership subscription, which again, $9.99 per month. So I'll be going live for them. And then on Friday at 10 a.m., I'll be talking about what is ethical being the key, non-monogamy anyway. Next Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, what is an orgasm? Yeah, what is an orgasm? That will be the first in the Sensuality, Sex, and Orgasms series that I'll be doing. Tuesday, March 14th at noon. High context versus low context, communicating in relationships. So we've got a busy week coming up. I hope that you can join me for some of those topics and have an amazing International Kinky Women's Day. And please wish every woman you encounter today happy International Women's Day. Just pass on a little bit of that positivity and femme forward thought. Yeah. Thanks, y'all. Have an